Awesome. We are live right now and excited for my newest guest. We've got Alejandra Diaz Mercado. Is that pretty good for
Hi.
pretty good
That
for
was
an English
amazing.
guy?
Yes, absolutely. Good job, Sean.
Excellent. So we're going to introduce kind of Alejandra and her background and everything that's going on with her. But I just also want to introduce kind of the overarching theme of this interview, and it's the lost art of posing. And I think Alejandra is going to add some awesome value to everybody who's watching. But we get a lot of questions about, you know, physique types and, how do I fit in this category and how come I saw this competitor do better than me in this category, even though I think their physique wasn't necessarily as good as mine. We hear that in UFE, we see it in IDFA, we see it in IFBB, NPC, you name it, you name the organization, there's always, people focusing on the physique. And I think people, even though they hear it all the time, they don't realize how important the posing and presentation is. And I think it's a lost art these days. And if people, ever got inspired by Arnold Schwarzenegger, I was telling Alejandra before, I think a lot of people skip the part where he was actually doing ballet because he was that focused on the proper posing and presentation of his muscles, from the poses themselves to how to control his breathing to how to transition in between. So when people are talking about, well, I think I look better than that person in that category, or they're not as good as me, or they're not the ideal physique, remember that these fitness competitions aren't purely about the physique. Okay, it's a huge component, but how you pose and how you present can sometimes be 50%, sometimes even more of how you do on stage. So we're going to get into a little bit of that. But first, I want to go into your background,
Yeah.
Alejandra, and just tell me a little bit about like how and when you got into competition yourself.
My first competition was actually in 2010, and it was Halloween Mayhem, precisely with UFE.
Wow.
Yeah. And the reason I got into it, actually, I was working an office desk job, overworked, underpaid, and I had gained a lot of weight, become addicted to food. And I had a group support system in my gym. My husband was working there at the gym. It was his gym. He was running the gym. And a group of friends decided to prepare for Halloween Mayhem for that October 2010. And the friend that was helping us do the prep approached me and she said, you know what, you're so beautiful. What are you doing to yourself? And at that time, you wouldn't have recognized me. I was a miserable person. And I'm going to use the word hate purposefully. It is a strong word. I hated myself and I hated my life. And but I am someone that often, when presented with a challenge, especially something that moves me to my core, no doubt about it, I will jump in 100%. So I decided to do it. I ended up losing about 40 pounds, 45 pounds. And it was really, really, really hard. Probably at that time shouldn't have done that. I would have maybe start from the root of just, loving myself, learning about my body. I really quit cold turkey, a lot of bad habits. So I went through a period of detoxification through which my body hated me. And I truly had no clue what I was getting myself into. But the day I was on stage, oh my God, I loved it. I love the experience, and also having family, my brothers being in the public and in the audience, and with tears in his eyes, my husband with tears in his eyes, both of them telling me how proud they were of me and acknowledging the transformation I had gone through. That I have to tell you, it's priceless. That has no, yeah, that's what started me. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I wish I would have asked you that in advance. I had no idea that that's the competition you started with. I had
Yeah.
no idea about your weight loss journey. So I think we've picked our subject matter for this interview, but I think there's some material there for a part two. So awesome. So
Yeah.
you did that show, and then you talk about how great you felt and everything like that. That wasn't your only show though. So kind of detail your journey in the industry
Mhm.
and then your successes in the industry.
So I have a confession to make, because after that show, I swore I would never, ever do it again because of how tough it was, no matter how much I love the stage. However, during my prep, I ended up seeing another competitor preparing herself. And while she was doing her cardio, she was just an incredibly happy, kind person that I would see her every day at 6 a.m. Doing her cardio. She would say hi to me. So I told myself that if I ever did it again, it had to be like her. So fast forward a couple of years afterwards, I was at a better place with my life, and also my self-love and what I wanted to do, my purpose. And I ended up competing through another association. I went to Canadian Nationals, and from there I also qualified and I competed at the Arnolds. So total up to now, my last Halloween Mayhem 2018 was my 8th show.
Wow. So it sounds like you had some good success there.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the subject matter of the interview being the art of posing, I have to tell you that I am a small competitor. I usually compete around 111, 112. So my size has never been one of my strong suits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, obviously you did quite well there. And then so you did the first show, you didn't think you'd do any others. Then you did more competitions, you were successful,
Mhm.
and then you kind of stopped
Yes.
again though, because basically you told us that Mayhem, last year's Mayhem, kind of reignited your passion again because you thought the passion had gone. So tell us a little bit about why your passion died down in the first place.
So throughout the 7 competitors in between my first one with UFE and the last one last year, it started feeling like over and over and over again, I was just a number on stage. And I knew that anytime that I was on stage, I did it for myself, and I did it also for who I became while I was doing my prep. I normally become a better person. So accountable, disciplined, inspiring, kind. So all of that are some of the magic that happens to me while I do contest prep. And like I said, but however, personally, being honest with myself, it started feeling like I was just a number on stage. And after going to the Arnolds, so me and my husband traveled down to the States. We did a road trip, and I was in the biggest stage I could have ever imagined, in front of a trade show, probably in front of 10,000 people. That was my final presentation. Before that presentation, I even got to see the back of the head of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, what can top that experience? So I placed 4th. I got a 4th place. Again, I believe that a big part of me having gone so far is my stage presence and what I call stage theatrics, and my symmetry. So those are some of my strengths. And we drove back, all the way back, and a couple months afterwards, I just kept thinking, what could possibly top off the experience that I had at the Arnolds? And it was a no. Coming back and doing a local show, possibly, simply because I would have the people that have always been close to me there at the shows, and it being a way of me sharing my passion, my inspiration with them. I had decided that I wasn't going to do it unless I found something that was really going to move me again to the core. So, and that just happened with the last year's Halloween Mayhem.
Nice. So what is it about Halloween Mayhem? Like, we've had we've had people come from as far as Africa to do that show, in the UK and across the country. So it's interesting to hear from your perspective, someone who went to the Arnold Sports Expo there, which is a huge event. What was it about Halloween Mayhem that inspired you to come back?
It's an emotional connection. I have to tell you that Halloween Mayhem, first, when it crossed my mind competing at the Halloween Mayhem, it felt like home. And it felt like I could fully and truly be myself, and people would know who Alejandra Diaz Mercado was, as opposed to all the other shows that I had competed. And I was, again, like I said, I was a number, or I was someone that won fourth place and was forgotten, a week later. And here, from what I remembered, my first experience in 2010, I remembered how when you got on stage, your bio was shared and personal stuff that you wanted to say to the audience as far as your journey. I remember how much fun all the competitors were having, and the camaraderie that you could feel backstage, and the support of the staff. And in remembering that, I started playing with the idea of jumping in again. I just felt like home, and it also felt like it was so close that I could have a lot of the people that have supported me that couldn't travel to far away places to watch me compete.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I love hearing the insights about, what people love about UFE and kind of what keeps us growing and some of the, especially UFE Halloween Mayhem, it's a huge show. So love hearing the insights of what keeps people coming back year after year. So at that show, obviously, that was your comeback show. And at that show, your comeback show, you won UFE dual pro status. So you won the figure, and you won the women's physique. Now, when I see those two categories, there were some pretty awesome physiques there, right? And in both categories,
absolutely.
One of the things that really stood out, though, was just how good your posing and your presentation was. And I'd contend that was one of the best routines we've ever seen on stage. At any show. The audience was just in awe. So in saying that, I like I said, I say your physique was spot on, like it was there, but I think it was definitely your posing and presentation that took you over the top. So you didn't just stand there in a mirror, doing your basic figure poses or your basic women's physique poses. That's not how you practice. Tell me a little bit more about the background that went into putting that routine together, and the way you pose and the way you transition on stage.
Absolutely. I think when anybody, and especially when I jump on stage, I'm going to speak for myself, I get the chance to bring all of my life experience into it. That's the way I see it. I can be myself, or I can choose to be an alter ego. However, all of the abilities and everything that I have lived in my life up to that point, I can take on stage. When I grew up, I did 10 years of ballet. I studied theater in school. So the stage is always a comfortable place for me. I have to tell you, I'm an introvert. Funny enough, some people don't believe that, but I'm an introvert. And what it's so comfortable about stage for me is that I can get to be whoever I want. So bringing all of those elements into the stage. Part of what I do in my training, Animal Flow has been a big influence, and one of the elements that helped me put my routine. Animal Flow is a body weight practice. So I might get to tell you a little bit more of that in the interview right now. And the other thing is I allow myself just dancing. I have to be by myself. I don't do it in front of people. But you know what? Just putting your favorite music. I put my favorite music. Sometimes I feel like heavy metal. Sometimes I feel like artistic soft music, and I move my body, and I have no expectations. I use it as a form of de-stressing and releasing, because, you know, there a lot of training, a lot of time goes into the workouts, and moving in the same ranges of motion to develop the physique that you desire sometimes tightens tightens the body up. So allowing that space for either stretching, and in your stretch and in my stretches, I incorporate music and allow my body to move in ways, unconventional ways that I wouldn't normally move. And that is how I start discovering fun transitions or fun elements that I can bring into the stage. Another thing is emotion. Emotion as it relates to why am I competing? So every so often, from the mental aspect, so not just the physical aspect, like I said, movement is key part in my training, but in the mental aspect, going back to the reason why I decided to compete in the first place. What was the moment, the person, or the decision that made me compete again? And what is the emotion that made me take action into competing? So whether it was the first time that I shared with someone that I was going to do a show, or actually, you know, the signing up for the show, because that's an action that you do to make things happen, and connecting with that emotion. And whenever I'm on stage, I am in connection with that emotion that sparked the fire. So that's another thing. Every time I am on stage, not just with my body and how I move, I am fully infusing the emotion that was the key emotion for me to be in that moment.
Wow. I think that was like an extreme amount of value you gave to people there. So anybody who is looking for kind of some insights into posing, just re-listen to that. You know, bringing the emotion into it. You know, showing people how happy and proud of the hard work you did. Let that come out of yourself. These interesting ranges of motion. And you got a lot of that from, you know, you got the formal training of ballet. So, you know, in the beginning of the interview, we were talking a little bit about Arnold Schwarzenegger. And, you know, I think that helps a lot with those movements you learn. It helps with transitions. Tell us a little bit more about, you know, animal flow itself. And then, you know, you touched on it a bit, but maybe touch on it again, even a little bit more detail if you want, how that applies to, you know, your competition posing.
Yes. So shortly after the Arnolds, when I had decided that unless I found the next, like a powerful reason why to compete again, I wouldn't do it. I ended up coming across the discipline of animal flow at the CanFit Pro. I went into the trade show, I went into the presentation thinking that they were going to make me crawl and act like an animal and do animal noises. And since I had taken theater, I was totally okay with that. But when I attended the presentation, I was amazed to see that it's actually a very scientifically sound and solid type of workout. And if you want to think about it in terms of being a plank in motion, exploring multiple angles of the body, joint adaptation, and of course, it becomes a fantastic fascia stretch, cardiovascular workout, and core connection. So I found just specific things about the discipline that really related to me, like the aspect of dancing or ballet, and how the cross-reference of those disciplines. So as I started practicing, I started playing with the idea of bringing a performance on stage. And it took, that idea took about 2 years to cook, by the way, because I said, well, one of the things that would bring me back on stage would be if I could do a gymnastics routine. But I was never a gymnast. I have been trying to master my handstand for 5 years, and I still probably can hold it only 3 seconds. And I also suffer from hypermobility. You want me to show you? I do the weird elbow stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, ouch. People call it double jointed, but there is no such thing as having two joints because most humans are built the same way. It's hypermobility. So yeah, that's why gymnastics. It's been I've, I do gymnastics foundational workouts, but to me, doing a gymnastics routine on stage, it's going to be not likely. And so that was another one of the things that I loved about UFE is that in knowing that in Physique, I could bring a routine. And I remember reaching out to you and asking, what are the requirements that you need from me so that it qualifies as a Physique routine? And you described to me how many poses I should have, how much time should I hold them, and then from there, I realized that outside of those requirements that you gave me, there was full freedom to create whatever I wanted. So that's when I said, "Yep, this is how my two passions are coming together: animal flow and bodybuilding." And that was one of the big reasons why I said, "Yeah, this is the time." Yeah.
Amazing. So yeah, you've got that background in ballet, background in theater, which I didn't know. That's very interesting. And of course, this animal flow, which I think anybody can take up at any age. It's not like ballet where if you're 35, a lot of people are too shy to start taking up formal lessons. This animal flow, there's classes everywhere. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone is interested, all you need to do is type Animal Flow. They have a website, a Facebook page. And like you said, what I love about it is there was a period before, shortly after I had decided to stop competing, that I thought that, the older you get, your possibilities get restricted. Sort of, I think that's part of aging. A lot of us have to give up some of the things that, we think we do, some of the things that we love, or like, I'm too old nobody wants to train people over 30, for dancing, nobody would take a dancer over 40. As far as workouts, well, the gym is pretty safe way to go, but just continuing to look for what you love, you'll find a way. And I find that animal flow is an incredible discipline for all ages. You obviously take it at the level and at the tempo that your body allows you to. So whenever somebody asks me if they could train animal flow with me, if I'm going to make them flip over their head, and I said, oh, absolutely no. This is what 5 years of practice looks like. The foundational elements are amazing, and I use them, a lot of the foundational elements of animal flow, with my clients who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. So it's been amazing to see, again, how a discipline that can look like that on stage can also bring incredible benefits for all age groups. So another big passion of mine, it's become animal flow.
Nice. And I want to emphasize that on our end, it's not, this isn't some advertisement for animal flow, but it's definitely something I saw incorporated in your routine last year, and you could just tell how it really benefited your transitions and your creativity on stage and the way you moved on stage. And when you hear people giving this huge round of applause and super excited about it, a lot of that did come from your experience with this animal flow. In addition to the other stuff you bring to the stage, your emotion, your background in theater, and of course in ballet. So what's kind of cool too is for those in the Ontario, Canada area, we've got 2 workshops coming up that are leading to Halloween Mayhem. One is in Mississauga on September 14th, and the other is October 5th in Hamilton itself. And you're going to be there, so tell us what you're going to be doing.
Well, I am be running a small portion on stage theatrics. And for those people attending, I'll be giving some extra secrets of what I do to prepare right before I jump on stage. So you will only get those if you attend the workshops. Don't miss out on that. I want to see you there, and I want to tell you my secrets. And those are secrets that can only be transmitted fully in person. And that's why I'm saving them for those workshops.
I like it. You've got that little nugget you're saving, and you're going to lure everybody into the workshops on that nugget. But
I have a question for you in regards to that. So if someone is simply thinking about competing and maybe they want to do it next year, can they attend these workshops as well?
Yeah, absolutely. The workshops are for competitors that are, doing any show, whether it's Halloween Mayhem or they're thinking of doing a show next year. And it's even for people just wondering if competition is right for them. So we welcome everybody to the workshops, and the workshops are free. So it's going to be cool that people are going to get these nuggets of information from you, and they'll get to pick your brain, obviously, on how to do their best on stage, and have you give them some coaching, right?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, good that I asked, because I've been sharing with people how when it's well prepared and you give yourself enough time, how fantastic of an experience is to compete. And then hopefully, some of my friends or clients get to join me next year. It's fun when you do it with others.
Absolutely. And then the other thing, I guess, so you're going to be at these workshops, and you're going to be sharing, some of this information, and you're going to be revealing some secrets that we're excited about. But at Halloween Mayhem itself, we used to have opening acts. Right now we do more like, digital effects, and we've got kind of, movies and stuff. We don't really have the live opening acts anymore, except in the case of this year. Where you kind of pitched saying, hey, you know what, I loved my routine last year. The audience seemed to love it. So can I do something along those lines this year? So tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing at Mayhem.
Oh, we're revealing that secret right now. I'm okay with that. So I am bringing a group of, right now I have 11 masters of movement, I like to call them, confirmed to jump on stage with me. So what I did is I took my Halloween Mayhem routine from last year and I remastered it so that it would look really cool with another 11 persons there on stage with me. And I have a guy coming from Argentina, a person coming from Mexico, a woman from the States, and various of the movement people are local. So that's what's going to happen. We're going to be there in the opening act. Thanks to you, Sean, for inviting me. And we're also going to be roaming around like zombies, entertaining the audience. So anybody that's attending that show, I'd be more than happy to take pictures, really creepy pictures with you.
Yeah, and in the promo for this interview, actually, we have your routine up in the UFE Halloween Mayhem Facebook group, on my profile, and it might even be up on our page. So you kind of, people who didn't see a routine last year can kind of get a taste of it, which was super cool. It definitely was super creepy, but at the same time very cool, and super exciting that we're going to see not just yourself and some other awesome local talent, but talent representing 4 countries in total, right? So that's super exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get goosebumps. Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Yeah. So I guess the next time we're going to get to see you in a competitive atmosphere as well. So much going on, right? We were talking about, the lost art of posing, and then we got into your competition at Mayhem. You're helping at the workshops. We're doing this amazing opening act. And then just 2 weeks later, you're going to be using your new UFE Pro status in both categories, I understand, and appearing at the UFE World Championships. So tell me a little bit about what's going through your mind as you prepare for that.
Not much was going on until you mentioned it all right now. And then I realized, wow, this is a big year. I'm doing a lot of stuff. My big focus right now, it's every day, the small things that I need to do to get there. So I'm not seeing everything all collapse, because that can be overwhelmed, and that's a mistake we humans do. We see the past, the future, we worry about everything, we drive ourselves crazy. So I focus on the daily behaviors that I have to do. So, having my meals prepared, doing my workouts. Sometimes I can do them all in one shot, or sometimes I need to split them, but I know the amount of time I need to spend in the gym. Allowing myself that time to dance and play with movements, so that I can complete the routines, the choreography that I'm bringing to the October, and then to the November, the Worlds. And what else is going through my head? I'm also writing a book called Energy in Motion, so a lot of things are going through my head right now.
Wow, yeah. So it's not even just focused on the contest prep. We're doing so many other things. So it's incredible that you're balancing that all and competing at the highest level. So I think that just speaks to the fact that, when people say, hey, I don't have time to get to the gym, well, here's somebody like yourself. You're very entrepreneurial, writing a book, married, doing a lot of stuff, and then having to find that time for the gym and nutrition. And I think it's very, very inspirational. In fact, we'll pop up your Instagram if people want to get in touch with you and maybe message you, and even about posing tips, how you balance everything, because you're obviously balancing a lot. And I guess final question. Are we going to see a very similar routine at the Worlds, or are you going to surprise us with something very different?
I'm going to bring something completely different. I don't even know what it looks like yet. Yes, big focus right now is to really, really bring emotion and inspiration to the October Halloween Mayhem show. I know that I sat in the audience part of the competitions for a lot of shows. And I remember seeing competitors and really craving to get excited and feel emotions or tear up. And there were some few competitors that managed to do that for me. And then over the years, I did not find it. So it made me start thinking that if I couldn't find it in the competitors, maybe it needed to be me that needed to be there doing it for others. So I really want to step into that role. That was my mission at the beginning of the year. So again, clearly stated, my mission has given me a good focus into talking to the right people, being in the right places, and putting in the work so that I can jump on stage and fulfill that mission. And to connect it with the lost art of posing it's about bringing the emotion. And all of the competitors, including myself, we spend so many months and so much time and money and effort and energy in becoming that person that is going to be on stage. It could be 1 minute, it can be 5 minutes. But if you bring the best of you, and you, here's a little trick about the art of posing, a secret that I'm going to unveil. If you take your time and extend your poses, like they continue extending on forever. So even me dragging my hand across the screen and allowing that full extension to go into the tips of my fingers, it's what makes an incredible experience for you as a competitor and for your audience. Just making that 5 seconds that took you to hit that pose feel like forever. And that being said, it is an illusion. You're not actually taking 10 seconds to do a pose that you should be doing in 3 seconds, but it is the intention and the emotion that you bring, and the confidence also, because you have to have practiced that. You can't just expect to jump on stage and hit it perfectly. So I'm just gonna, share with anyone that's listening. And thank you guys for your time as well. Take the chance to play, and then bring some of those elements into practice, and practice and feel it, and connecting with that emotion, that purpose to drove you to compete in these shows.
No, I think that's such incredible advice, like combining, all these different practices, ballet, theater, animal flow, and most importantly, letting your emotion come through. Tying it back to Arnold Schwarzenegger, who everybody knows and loves, that's what you would see in him compared to a lot of different competitors as well. You would see the joy of being on stage. That's where he lived. That's where he wanted to be. He loved the audience and how they fed his spirit. And you could see that on stage compared to a lot of people that either look scared on stage or robotic on stage or mechanical on stage. So another fantastic point. So looking forward to your insights at our workshops, and of course looking forward to your appearances as a guest presenter at Mayhem, and then as a competitor again at the Worlds. Thanks so much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, Sean. And thank you, everybody that made the time to listen to the podcast. I know time is a rare commodity these days, but it's greatly appreciated from all of you. So thank you so much.
Awesome. And I think we'll be bringing part 2 to the audience soon enough.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks, Alejandra.
Adios, amigos. Bye.